had a fabulous time. Welcome to another moment that we discuss about career and life. And at Just Connect TV, we have a guest, Mary. Karibu sana.
Asante.
She's going to tell us more about herself and what she does for a living and improving people's lives. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
Yes, who is Mary?
I think I wear different hats. I manage an organization that runs an employability program, Education for All Children. So we provide access to education and develop our beneficiaries as leaders through the program. It's an 8-year program. We use what we call our Wezesha journey to guide them in making wise decisions about their careers. I'm a co-founder with the Association for Faculty Enrichment in Learning and Teaching. Basically, now that we build capacity for teaching. I look at myself as a designer because I design for significant learning. So I design programs for transformation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's a big profile indeed. You mentioned so many things about design, and somebody may be thinking that it's design. You know, we are only used to, fashion and design, but now
You design everywhere. You design everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like about something you mentioned about careers, and the most challenging bit, especially in this day and age, is how to identify a career, and maybe as a person or the viewer probably, at that particular critical age, how do you develop? How do you identify a career that you can pick up in life? What are the features I should look for as an individual?
I think what I have learned in life is that everyone has to have a dream. A parent has a dream for their child. And when they have a dream for their child, they start deciding how they want to bring up their child, what kind of schooling their child will have. Then the child grows up, they have a dream for themselves. They know what they want to become. So if you don't have a dream for yourself, then it becomes very hard to decide, what am I going to do in life? So in our program and in what I do on my day-to-day basis is basically work with young people in dreaming up their life so that they can design their own future. And what we do is that we ask them to really picture what they would want to see themselves in 10 years. Or what they would like to see when they're young, when they're 14 years old, you ask them, what would you want to see yourself in 14 years? So they imagine that and they draw it down or write it down. Then we ask them, what are you going to do right now to become that particular person? So for example, you want to see yourself as the governor of Nairobi. So what does it take to be a governor? What can I do right now? Then that becomes my career. Maybe I want to be a lawyer to prepare me for governorship for Nairobi. Maybe I want to be a dancer. Why do I want to do dancing? Yeah? So what can I do right now to prepare me for that? Everyone has a dream. So you work towards a dream. Most of the time you'll hear kids saying, I want to be a pilot, or I want to be a doctor. But normally that's the dream they have for themselves. As they grow up, the dream changes, and we allow you to change your dream because as you grow up, right now is minor. Your dream is to transform a community. And for you to transform a community, then you do music. You will maybe go to Bible school, to equip yourself. So your dream has changed. Originally, probably you wanted to just be a pharmacist. And so you trained to be a pharmacist, and then you realize that isn't really what I am for, and it's not serving my purpose. Exactly. So the dream evolves, but we encourage every young person to have a dream, to vision what they want to be in a couple of years. Then they start working towards that. So you'll identify what are my passions, what are my strengths, and then start working on them. So it helps them also in selecting what they're going to study. Yeah. So what can I study? What are my key skills? The problem we have right now is that in deciding what I'm going to study is always based on a grade. A grade. And what is disappointing, so you have a name. You select a program, statistics. You got a name maths by flukes. You realize when you get to the university, you can't hack maths. So it starts depressing you, and then people start wondering, why aren't you doing well in university? You were not aligned, you didn't know yourself. Because our system, again, insists on performance. And then the A determines what you want to be. So you hear every child saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a lawyer, without really evaluating what are my key strengths.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if a child has an A doesn't really mean they are A students, and that's what I experience. But we watch, what is it that I do very well? And the child has to really look at that. So, but we are looking at 18-year-olds, and we have a period that we take them through that thinking process, like through 3 weeks of thinking. What am I really good at? If I want to do nursing, am I just doing nursing because that's where the jobs are? Or am I doing nursing because I want to serve as a nurse? You're only going to be successful if you do that. And that's why we say, like, we have to be also emotionally intelligent, yeah? Because that's getting to know myself. How aware am I of who I am?
Stage should a person really say, I know this is what I should start be thinking about something I ought to become?
You see, being emotionally intelligent starts right from the very early ages. With your very young daughter, it has to start. But it is a process. You have to keep evaluating yourself every so often. We have to be reflective of our own lives, what we learn and what we become. Experiences of today have to change me. So I have to be aware by the end of the day, probably, what have I become? At the end of the year, what have I become? So it's really evaluating yourself. Sometimes you sit down with the youth and, someone says, I did engineering, but I love art, right? So they have already started their program at the university as engineers. But they spend their time in the studio doing art. Yeah? So they go like, because I took this program as an engineer, there's some skills I apply. The drawing and etc. in engineering. I enjoy that. I'm going to finish my engineering, but I'm going to practice art. So, but how do the two of them match? Yeah? But they get to know themselves. I love art. When I'm doing artistic things, that's when I feel satisfied, yeah? And that's how I can serve. So someone tells you she did mechatronics, right? But right now what she's enjoying is training kids on how to draw. And that's what gives her satisfaction. So you're trying to get her into a job as a mechatronic. She's telling you, no, I'm going to teach kids coding to design things online. Yeah. So she has found her vocation where she serves with a passion. Yeah. So she did mechatronics because she got a very good grade and got her to university, and she got mechatronics. It impressed the people around her. But the 5 years to the mechatronics, she discovers, I don't enjoy it. Yeah. And what I enjoy is designing things artistic, so I can draw, but I can also use some knowledge I have acquired, yeah. So now I can do online. So she teaches like coding to small kids. So be evaluating yourself frequently to be aware of who you are and who you are becoming is very critical to the career that you get into. Because your career should be service, and it is your calling. It is your vocation, yeah. So you need to know what are really, you as a parent, parents get engaged in this particular point, yeah, in helping their children through this particular process.
Because you've raised something important about parenthood, and before we go to a break, we are going to learn something about more about emotional intelligence. Because I remember you would say that I want to be a musician at that particular time. I think my parent would go nuts. Like, how do you even think of such a thing? Probably, is it that our parents were too reserved with what they were exposed to, and now the time we are living in is more of an information age where there is availability of so many careers at our disposal? And then the other issue is that, is emotional intelligence more about gaining particular information or consistent evaluation?
Emotional intelligence.
Yes.
No, emotional intelligence is really more about how you get to know who you are and how you relate to the rest of the world. We have transitioned ourselves from where we were so focused on things to where we are now human-centered.
Right.
We think about people, we design around people. Yeah? So if you're designing a program, you have to think of a person. I'm designing this for Mr. Njama. So what is it that I'm designing for Njama? Yeah? So we are being more human-centered. So we really need to get to know ourselves. Yeah? And we have seen from the education system, where we have really emphasized a lot on the IQ, that we are not successful. When we started off with our education system, one of the things we did is that we were preparing people to take up administrative roles. And we served that purpose and that was full. So we see that IQ itself contributes to your success. Like 20% of your success is contributed to IQ. The rest is what you learn in the community and how you interact with people, and that is emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Wow.
So we see, like, we can say almost 80% of your success is attributed to your emotional intelligence. Yeah, because it just means that you get to know who am I. Who am I becoming through my experiences? Your experiences become the learning. And you get to also appreciate one thing, that people around you, whether they bring in positive or negative experiences, they prepare you for who you become. But now you as a person, you have to be reflective of who am I becoming. So what makes me angry? What makes me happy? What excites me? Yeah. So, and how do I manage? Say, for example, I'm a person who gets easily angry. Am I able to manage that anger because I have to interact with people? But most importantly is also be able to identify with others, building your empathetic abilities. Yeah. So, because if you're going to be successful and going to be serving people, then you have to have empathy.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to be socially aware, and then you have to have that intrinsic motivation, inside drive, to become the best that you can be and to serve. Yeah. So that's emotional intelligence. Actually, what I've just described is the 5 steps of emotional intelligence. Yeah. And that's what we need to build in ourselves. Then we are going to be successful, because you're going to be interacting with people. You're going to be developing solutions for people. Yeah. So if you're going to be around people, by being with Maina, his acts may annoy me. Do I get to know when I'm getting annoyed, and how do I manage that? So that, because I still need Maina around, right? So I have to build relationships with people. I have to network. Yeah. So I have to build my social skills, abilities. I have to build up my creativity, innovationness, critical thinking abilities, and all those kind of things. Yeah. But do I get to know who I am and who I can be? That's the importance of the dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As we take a break, I believe that you're finding this program informative, where we are looking at our careers and how to develop ourselves. And as we come back, we look at how our education system has either helped us in our critical thinking skills and building of our emotional intelligence towards being of service to the world around us. Enjoy the song that is upcoming as we come back.
Nikufahamu nitembee nawe Jehova.
Zaidi, zaidi, nikufahamu Yesu, nijue pendo lako na wokovu wako kamili. Zaidi, zaidi, nikufahamu Yesu, nijue pendo lako na wokovu wako kamili. Zaidi, zaidi,
This is Just Connect TV. Karibu sana to the Just Connect TV as we continue looking at our career and how to build our lives to become meaningful to our environment. And in the studio we have Mary. We've been looking at emotional intelligence, and I want us to probably look at how has our education system, especially the basic education system, helped us to build the areas that you've addressed of emotional intelligence, or do we find ourselves in careers that we even wonder how we got ourselves first into it, and then by the time you are 10 years serving in the work, you find that you don't find any joy in it.
Yeah. You see, like our education system as it is very academic oriented, yeah? And everybody normally like goes through school and expects to find a job or to be employed by somebody. As I said, when we started off in the 60s and 70s, our goal for education was to really like prepare administrators and leaders at that particular time. By the time it was 90s, those jobs were already filled. We needed now to change to something different. So we went to 844 system that was supposed to be more vocational oriented, preparing people to be entrepreneurs. But the challenge we had again, the teacher that implemented this is the teacher was doing the academic programs. So they just continued the academic program. So we have continued to channel people out that have knowledge, but are not able to really like use that knowledge to transform their communities. Yeah. So now the government is looking at, we need to develop competencies, because the research has shown that most of the people that don't have jobs, it's not that jobs don't exist, but they are not competent for the jobs that exist, which means they don't have the competencies that are required, although they have papers showing they have the qualifications. Yeah. And then the parent, I think the parent here did not appreciate vocation. They just want academic oriented. I want to say my child has a bachelor's, my child has to go to, whether they can do something or not, that's not important. And then we want to get them into the job. This child is told you're going to do computer, even our system of selection, right? You just go in there, then you're either put engineering, you select engineering because I got an A, or you select medicine, or you select all those particular programs, but you're not aligned to them. So the competency-based programs that we're having right now, then we're saying we're going to be looking at competency areas. Yeah, we're developing this person holistically. They can be able to communicate. You know, they have literacy and numeracy skills. They have they're digitally literate. Yeah, they have all these competencies that you need for a world that is not certain, because the future of work is changing. They're saying that most of the jobs existing today won't be there in the next years. Yeah, and the pandemic has also taught us that the jobs that we need to be more innovative, because the jobs that are now starting to come up are totally different from the jobs that existed. We only believed that we can only go to a school and learn. We know now I can learn from home, right? True. I can work from home. I can do so many things from home. And being the information era, everything is happening online, particularly with the young people. So we need to know what careers are going to fade away, what careers are going to come up. How do we align ourselves and prepare the children of the future for that? You know, we have two generations right now. Yeah, we have the generation that is now, we call them the digital citizens, right? The rest of us are immigrants, right? In that particular space, yeah? So these people need to be equipped, not just thinking that I'm going to go to an office and do the normal thing. So what skills, what competencies do you need? First of all, the interpersonal skills, the social skills, yeah, the networking skills, yeah, but also the ability to virtually connect with other people and maintain relationships. Because right now we have the environments we are working in, like I have my office, we have our office in the US, we have our office over here, but we achieve our goals together, wherever it is that we are. What skills do we need for us to navigate around that? Yeah? So what careers do we get into? So if I say I'm going to do computer science, right? So for what?
Exactly.
Yeah, because that is doing computer science. That means that it's applicable to any organization. That we all need cybersecurity. We need engineers for programming or whatever it is that we are having. Yeah. So those are careers that are existing.
And probably just to interrupt you a minute. I'm just wondering, the kind of employer also that we have in the market, especially, you find that an employer is threatened by an employee who has decided to, improve on themselves and probably learn a few things, and probably they think that they are on their way out, and they can't seem to accommodate where the whole world of career is moving into. So what would you tell an employer probably in this sphere of all this that is coming up, in supporting even the employees in their organization so that they become more useful?
Yeah, I think organizations are also learning organizations. And I think one of the things that has been highlighted, of course, there are skills, there are core skills that people need. You need the computer skills, the engineers need their skills. There are people who do the core business of an organization. So what is the core business? Are you a production organization? Are you a service organization? You need the specific skills. But most of the employers today are looking for competencies. Yeah? Can you work in teams? Because we design together, we have to be innovative. Now, for employers that feel threatened by people who are improving themselves, then is that a learning organization? Is it being innovative? Or is it somebody who just wants to remain where they are without growing? Most of them are not even looking at papers. They're looking at what competencies do you have?
Yeah.
Do you have the key skill? Can you do A, B, C, D? Like, say, for example, it's with car production. You need the mechanics, you need all those, yeah? So they can do that. But can they also work in teams, yeah? So we improve the car, yeah? If we don't just come and fix your wheel and go, yeah? We do more than that, right? Yeah. So are you being innovative? So the organizations are changing. They're looking more at the competencies you bring, and this is what we call the soft skills, yeah? You'll enter with a hard skill, but they will not employ you if you don't have certain competencies, yeah? And particularly if you've gone through university and you don't have certain competencies, they're not going to be taking you. So most of the time, the person who is taken with a bachelor's, yeah, is looked at another level. When they're taking people with the hard skills, they're looking at the technical training. So they say, because we are a production company, we are going to be taking but their manager has to be an engineer, yeah? Someone with other skills. So the engineer comes with only the technical skills, but without these competencies, they can't communicate, they cannot sell the company, they can't manage people, yeah? So they are not getting the jobs.
Exactly. And
they're not getting the jobs.
This is very interesting, especially for those who are in school at this particular juncture. There are all these, subjects or courses that are intertwined in your studies, and some of them look like they are too ancient for the generation that we are living in. So how can such students deal with those kind of curriculums that have been constituted, or course outlines that are on their face? And how do you interact, knowing that the employer is looking for soft skills and those, competencies? As a person who is in school at the moment, will I wait until I graduate so that I acquire the skill, or how should this particular person prepare themselves to
I don't know whether the person prepares themselves. What we are doing right now is what I said, design for significant learning, or significant learning by design. It is an approach that has been developed by somebody called Defink. And what this looks at is that, you see, like what you're describing right now is where the student is just a passive participant in the learning process. But for significant learning, the learner becomes the center of the learning. They drive their own learning, yeah?
Wow, that's
they drive their own learning. The lecturer, the teacher, becomes the facilitator of learning. So what we do with the teacher is really train them on how to design their courses for significant learning, yeah? So they know what abilities. Right now, it's not the objective, like a goal that by the end of this lesson, the student, yeah? But what can the student do? The students will be able to do A, B, C, D. So you start actually looking at the vision of the institution. What is the vision of the institution? The vision of the institution actually defines the graduate that comes out of this university. So they have a dream for their students. What do we want our students to be doing after they leave here? What name do we want them to take out there? Then the lecturer starts from there. Yeah. So let's design so that we get this particular graduate.
Wow.
So until the teacher, not the teacher guides the student, because the student now has to take up the central role of learning. Yeah, their own learning. So they set their own personal goals. So they have their own dream. So the university says that I'll be ETC, but what do I also want to see myself doing in 10 years if I become ABC?
Exactly.
So they design their own future as well.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think we'll need to address that more in our upcoming programs, because this is very useful even for colleges and universities. This is Just Connect TV, where we are looking at our career development. And we have Mary in studio, and I believe that it has been informative, and we'll still continue handling this topic in future. There is a program you are working on as we come to a close of this. Probably you can talk a little about it, and probably your parting shot as well. And then the viewer, we can meet on another moment.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about the learner being the central position of the learning, and they drive their learning. And we know the teacher normally does the facilitation. But we forget what is the role of the parent.
Oh.
And the CBC is calling for the parent to get engaged. So how does the parent get engaged? So we are looking at what we are calling positive parenting. And positive parenting is all about training your child when they come from school to help them apply what they learn. And we look at critical areas like the social skills, developing the kids' social skills. We are looking at developing their emotional intelligence skills. We are looking at them developing their creativity. How do you bring out their creativity? So that is the role of the parent at home. So you want your child to make meaningful friendships, so you have to be able to nurture that at the very early age. So that's a program we're calling positive parenting, to make sure that the parent is getting engaged in the learning process without overwhelming them. So there are questions about the parent being very busy. When do they do this? But you take dinner with your children. You can take the dinner time as the period to learn, to teach them certain skills as you have dinner together, to make sure that you are also assessing what their learning is and you're engaging them. So then you can also get to see what work they have been given in school, and that they're able to do whatever it is that they're doing. So we'll be introducing the positive parenting in Kenya. It's really basically also based on the best curricula in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, Finland has been known to have the best education system, but also to have the happiest people in the world. And they attribute this to that particular engagement of everybody in the learning process of the children.
Wow. And I believe we'll pick up this as we continue in this program, as we look at our careers and how to impart on our children, especially the parents. I believe that you'll find this very useful, and you can invite your fellow parents to join in our next program. What are your parting shots as we end this program?
We started off by talking about careers. What I can say as my parting shot is that whatever you become has to serve the purpose for which you are called. And so get to know what is the dream that you have and what your purpose is, and then your career aligns itself. It may change over time, you may change from one career to another over time, but it serves the purpose for which you are called.
Thank you very much. I believe that the viewer has had an experience of understanding things that probably you had never thought about. And I believe that Just Connect is impacting your life as we stream live through our programs. Bye-bye till we meet again. My name is Jaman Gogia. I had hosted this program, and you had our visitor, our panelist, Mary. Karibu tena.
Asante.
And we look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We all have a gift, a talent, an untapped potential that requires a little stretch when discovered. Well, Just Connect got you covered. We offer tutorials to equip and mentor this capacity. It is our hope and belief that these serialized teachings are making a difference and establishing you in your ministry to God. For more information, visit our social media platforms, and remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and hit the notification button.
mahuro koitare dona nage keno de noeta giona kumade heana hega yoshomunene ga yoshowe wa mageganya ne wa mageganya ga yoshomunene nyakumagione araika hamwena serapi tomoture riedu ga yoshowe wa mageganya ne ajagereire bokerai doshiode newe kyuga keria kemoyo anagotareobwa nawe ugegashwa ga yoshowe wa mageganya ne wa mageganya ga yoshomunene nakumagione araika hamwena serapi tomature riedu ga yoshowe wa mageganya tarada shiakwa goshigarewe nigadanyo nagererie oreikei hodera negoi mukumagie ga yoshowe wa